Everything is wrong about Shaq. I don't even like that title to be honest, because like Shaq is up there in my top 10 of all time, and then top 2 bigs of all time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that title is kind of like honestly, I don't like seeing stuff like that. But we're about to get into it. We're about to look into the video. I'm not going to judge the video before even watching it. Just the title might just be clickbait or just to get people to click. But yeah, about to get into the next one. Everything is wrong about Shaq. Let's get into it.
Over on Spotify, and that is the Rusty Buckets intro. One day I will stop doing that. In today's video, I want to talk about a take that I have had for a very long time, and it's not an uncommon take, but it's one that I feel like is left out of the conversation of all-time great discussions very often. And that is that the greatest player of all time conversation could have been very easily decided, and like in a way that is very hard to argue with, had Shaquille O'Neal just operated a little bit differently in his career. As happens a lot of the time, I'm scrolling Twitter and I saw a compilation of Orlando Magic Shaquille O'Neal, and I have just never been able to get over the fact that people perceive Lakers Shaq to be the overwhelmingly better player. And yeah, it's hard to argue, especially when you take into context his playoff success, that Shaq peaked better on the Los Angeles Lakers. I could agree to that take, specifically up through 2003, and he was there from 1996. So yeah, 7 seasons up until he really saw a huge decline. However, his last season, where he's putting up over 25 points per game, over 27 points per game in this instance, was that 2003 season when he was only 30 years old. And what had happened when he went to the Los Angeles Lakers is he gradually over time put on more and more weight. Now, something that pisses me off about Shaq and his playing career is he got a lot of excuses or justifications for this weight that did very dramatically hinder the potential of his career, both in terms of like just lower body injuries that didn't have to be as bad as they were, and then also just like he literally was on the court significantly less than he could have been. Like, he put on this weight, and the thing that people said was that made him more dominant. That made him all the more impossible to stop in the post. And while I completely understand how you could get that impression just purely aesthetically speaking, when we're talking about the truth of his production, Orlando Magic Shaq was a way better defender than Los Angeles Lakers Shaq, while still putting up very comparable numbers both in the regular season and the playoffs.
Yo, if you haven't seen, if you're a young guy or anybody that's watching this that doesn't watch Shaq at all and hasn't seen Shaq's Orlando highlights, I would say after this video, go and search that up. Shaq was nasty. Oh my gosh, he was a problem. Like, he was a problem. That a guy that's that big, he can handle the ball, go coast to coast. Like, he was crazy. He put on weight. He could still do that from time to time, but it's like, it's not ideal. Because it's like, what are you doing? You're that big going coast to coast? Hell no. Nah. But he was like skinny, kind of like skinny but built, and he was going to work coast to coast, size you up, give you a left to right crossover, and dunk on you. Like, absolute nonsense. Like, absolute nonsense. He had no business doing it, but he was doing it, and he was doing it well, honestly. So you should watch those highlights. I'm probably going to react to Orlando Shaq, probably in the next video, maybe, or maybe in any other videos. But yeah, Orlando Shaq was a problem. I feel like he was way more skilled on Orlando than he was on LA, but he got so big that he didn't really have to do much. He just had to go to the basket, do his spin off the defender and go baseline and dunk it, or he would do his drop step, put his body into you and dunk you into the rim. So that's usually what he would do. So yeah, Orlando Shaq, a problem, bro. Him and Penny, oh my gosh.
A lot of people talk about that 1995 NBA Finals like Shaq completely shit his pants against Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, was Hakeem very obviously the better player between the two of them in the series? Yes, he was. However, if your version of getting shut down in the finals is averaging 28 points, 12 and a half rebounds, 6.5 assists, and shooting 60% from the field, I think that says a lot about how goddamn good and dominant you are at the age of 22 years old against a guy who a lot of people very understandably consider to be the greatest defensive player the game has ever seen. That is saying a lot. Now, in his other finals, when he matched up against...
Wait, hold up. 6.5 assists is crazy. So let's take that in. 6.5 assists is crazy. Like, bro, what? That means he's passing to people and they're actually scoring. Like, he had a team. I mean, they went to the finals. Yeah, that Orlando team, I don't know. I mean, he could have stayed there, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like, he could have got a couple players, but he went to LA. I don't know. But I think he probably had some problems in Orlando. But, like, for Shaq to be putting up those numbers all around and his percentage was crazy, too, efficient. Like, they said he crapped the bed. Like, how? Those numbers are crazy. There's no way around that. That impact is crazy. They probably should have won based off of that, but they went against Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon. Like he's just a guy that you just can't stop. It's not even a question. Like, it's inevitable. He's gonna give you the work. Like, honestly. So yeah, but 6 assists is crazy.
Dikembe Mutombo, who was A, not quite in his prime, but B, also very skinny and very easy to push around by contrast to all the other good stuff that he did on the defensive end. Ben Wallace obviously took his lunch money in 2004. But the other years where they went to the finals, they were playing cupcake matchups. Terrible centers. And Shaq also kind of saved his scoring energy for those finals. Like, a lot of his championship runs, specifically the last two, up until the finals, for those last two, it could be argued that Kobe was the better player through those first 3 rounds, but Shaq knows that the finals MVP and the finals is what really matters, and that's when he really goes try-hard mode, and it helps that he did not see a good matchup in the finals against him physically, besides for 1995 and besides for 2004. It did help that by 2004, Shaq's injuries dramatically hindered his ability, and he literally decreased his points per game by 6 per game, and in the playoffs that year in general, he also dropped those numbers. But I am going to take, other than his rookie year, so the last 3 years of his 4 in Orlando, in those seasons, he averaged 28.6 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. 4.2 of those rebounds were offensive boards. He shot 58.7% from the field. Meanwhile, if we take a look at his Lakers tenure before or up until 2003 in the regular season, 27.9 points, 11.9 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 57.4% from the field, which is a little bit worse. So we're talking about virtually the same production across the board, virtually the same efficiency on said production. And then if we were to do the same thing with the playoff stats, his Orlando Magic numbers are a little bit lower in the playoffs. He goes down to 25.7 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 58.8% shooting from the field, which is really good. And then we get into playoffs for the Lakers up until 2003, 29 points, 13.4 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, which is basically the same. So yeah, 55% from the field, though. 55% from the field is a noteworthy decline, at least, but the production does increase by a pretty substantial margin. But what is important?
The most dominant player of all time. I'm saying that right now. You could say it's Wilt, let me know. You can say it's LeBron, let me know. I don't think it's LeBron, but dominant, just pure domination, just throughout his stats. 2.5 blocks, 60% shooting, 29 points, 12 rebounds, probably 10 bodies. Probably most of his points, 95% of his points is probably him drop stepping and dunking you into the rim. A problem.
In here, I can agree that Shaquille O'Neal got better at scoring and became harder to guard when he was healthy and he was the much bigger player. But he was so often not healthy as a result of it, and it meant that he had to conserve his energy on the defensive end of the floor far more than he did when he was in Orlando. When you watch Orlando Magic Shaq, you see the way he's moving. Like, Shaq was primarily known for being terrifying because of his size, but the thing is, he had much of that size while in Orlando because he's still 7'1" and he's still 250 pounds. His verticality, his athleticism that declined with time in a Lakers jersey was overwhelming out of the gate. And that athleticism could have persisted and been a staple of his game for a much longer period of time, which would have enabled him to still put up similar scoring production and still be a great defensive player, which Shaq was in Orlando. Now, Shaq's not a terrible defensive player by any means, nowhere near it, but his physical profile, his size, speed, athleticism in the NBA right out of the gate was incredibly impactful on the defensive end. I'm actually curious in terms of defensive rating. They were 12th, which is not great, but the year before he was there, they were 22nd. Big dip, and it's entirely Shaq. It's entirely Shaq that is responsible for that. So I personally strongly believe that if Shaquille O'Neal on the Lakers gained an extra 20 pounds but kept it there, kept up with his conditioning, used his energy on the defensive end, he could have been known way more as a two-way player. If Shaq's prime lasted until the age of 35 rather than the age of 30, he'd be the GOAT. And I don't even think it would be close, because when we're talking about
very factual,
imagine what Shaq did on the Lakers offensively speaking, but then you also have an all-time great defensive presence on the other end of the floor. And then you also have Kobe Bryant as a teammate who most of his issue and beef with Shaq was related to his work ethic, conditioning, and weight. You'd maintain that relationship for longer. You'd dominate on both ends of the floor for much longer in a way that is unprecedented throughout history, because there's nobody with better rim gravity than Shaquille fucking O'Neal. So much opportunity was wasted. Yeah, and it's hard to say that for a guy who's in almost everybody's top 10 players of all time.
Yeah, he's in mine. Like, no question. Top 10 of all time. It's not even a question. If you don't have Shaq in your top 10, what is wrong with you? Stop playing. Even with the weight issues and then his career not being as good later on in his years, like, he had a good 8 to 10 years where he was dominating, and that was like a Hall of Fame career, and he's top 5 just from those 10 years. Like, come on now. His years in a Magic jersey and in a Lakers jersey, come on. He was a problem, even with the weight. But Kobe was saying, like, he could be the best player of all time if he really worked on his physique. His physique was just getting bad. It was deteriorating over the years, and it was a problem. And his conditioning too. He couldn't play as long in games. He's still putting up big numbers, but he could have been putting up Wilt numbers if he was in shape in those times. Come on now. Tell me I'm wrong. Shaq couldn't put up Wilt numbers if he was in shape. Tell me I'm wrong. Come on now. Shaq could have been the GOAT if he really put his mind to it and really locked in and didn't get comfortable. He got his first championship and got comfortable. That's what Kobe said. So that's the interview they had. If you guys want me to react to that interview with Shaq versus Kobe Bryant, let me know. And just another reminder, turn on your post notifications. Please do. And if you're watching this, go to my Twitch and follow my Twitch, Tariq Thai Night M. It's Thai Night M. Yeah. On twitch.tv. Yeah.
Shaq is in my top 10 players of all time. But in terms of guys who are in that top 10, there is no one who underachieved to what their potential was more than Shaquille O'Neal. He definitely underachieved a little bit. It's hard to say something about that with someone who's as successful and as dominant as he was, but truly, Shaq could have been so much better for so much longer. And I think that just gets left out of the conversation with him a lot of the time. And I also just feel like Orlando Magic Shaq needs more attention just in a historical context, because when that man was firing on all cylinders, like his second and third seasons in the league, he averaged 29.3 points, 12.3 rebounds, 2.6 blocks, and 59.1% from the field. Like, just an unbelievable force of nature on both ends of the floor. It's disappointing that there was not more to come of it. And that's something that I can't help but feel whenever I watch Shaq play, which is definitely negativity bias. It's definitely a negative skew. I still appreciate watching Shaq highlights in any jersey just because, well, mostly Lakers and Magic jerseys, let's be real. But the anomaly that he is physically, how much he was just built to play the game of basketball because of how unstoppable he was physically, it's just hard to quantify. I can never not think about the wasted potential whenever I think about Shaq. And I will highlight this in a more nuanced way in a deep dive at some point, because that Shaq hater manifesto will be coming out. Most of my beef with Shaq is related to his personality and who he chooses to be rather than his basketball shortcomings. That's just what I wanted to talk about, because it's something that I think about a lot, and this is my basketball diary channel anyways, so I figured I'd talk about how Shaq should have been the GOAT. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is it. Goodbye.
All right, that was another great video. These two videos were really good, honestly. Like, I'm about to sign out, but whoever's here right now, yeah, hit the notification bell so you can be notified for my live streams, notified for my videos. But this is a great video. If you guys just tuned in right now, you can go back and watch the two videos I reacted to. Everything is wrong with Shaq just now, and then the other one was they clowned Larry Bird for being old. Big mistake. That was the best Larry Bird video I ever watched. So if you want to go back and watch that, it was a great reaction. It was a great video. So you can go back and watch that. Yeah, but I'm gonna end off the stream. This is a good stream. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, follow me. Subscribe to me. And yeah, and I'm gonna end off with a prayer. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Whoever's watching this video Bless them from the crown of their heads to the soles of their feet. Allow them to be better individuals all around. Allow them to follow you and lean on you and cast their cares on you. Allow them not to get into negative thoughts. Allow their thoughts to be positive and show their light. Allow us not to be the same as people that are of this world, because how could people really tell the difference if you're complaining, if you're mad and if you're upset and you're very quick to be angry, just like anybody else in this world? How are people going to tell the difference? Allow God in Jesus' name pour into their hearts, fill them with the Holy Spirit, so they can show their light and they can show the difference of what it is like to follow Christ in their life. So in the name of Jesus, I pray, allow everybody to be stewards of Christ and wear the armor of God and be blessed. In the name of Jesus, I pray, amen. So stay blessed, stay lit, and I'm out.